think there would have been a lot of teams that would have been worried about playing that team. They looked very good, man. They were locked in, they were focused, and they were in tune to the assignment of winning a tournament championship and collecting the 300 stacks that comes with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Nebraska is going to be very excited to bring home the purse. But like you said, too, just to finish collectively, it's interesting because, throughout the Big Ten, you're going to have your ups and downs. This team more than ever did, with kind of the losing streaks and the winning streaks here. And then, you're playing teams that inherently aren't NCAA tournament teams because they're in this tournament. So it just makes you kind of wonder, are they playing their best basketball? In your mind, were they playing their best basketball here this part of the season?
Yeah, I think they were playing their best basketball. And you saw the execution. You saw the setting of screens. You saw when guys were hot, how they went to them and found a way to get them in a set, in a specific, offensive set. They didn't overly settle. Now, one of the areas that they still kind of struggled with was bad turnover. But it was turnovers, not just – it wasn't lazy turnovers or just tossing the ball over. It was actually trying to make an effort to make the right play. So you can't – you're disappointed by the turnover, but you can't be too upset about them because you were actually trying to make the right play. You just didn't connect on it. So it was good. It was extra effort, second efforts. When they gave up offensive rebound and they gave up extra possessions, there was extra effort on defense to try to get the stops, transition defense. They did a lot, and you've got to be impressed with the way that they ended up finishing off the game. A season they needed big. He was on a roller coaster ride throughout the whole tournament. Also throughout the season, it was hit or miss with him, but he hit when they needed him to hit. All three of them going for double figures tonight, man. Bach, that was very impressive. Bryce Williams going for 21. On top of that, landing the all-time season scoring record over James Palmer. He goes for 21 tonight in 31 minutes. Gary's been so consistent, man. I've been so impressed with the way that he finished off the season. Even if Bryce struggled, it was him who filled the void. And then Asian having one of the better nights, and it was at a perfect time to win this championship. They went basically with a 6-game. And no, let me tell you who else I'm impressed with. I'm impressed with Cale Jacobson. I really am. I'm impressed not just because of the way that he performed in this tournament. I'm impressed that he stayed ready. He stayed ready, and when the opportunity presented itself, he stepped in and filled the void. And the thing that you can see for him is that at his size, he can be versatile. He can guard bigger guys. He can guard smaller guys. He can handle the ball when they need it, very much like Rink Mass, used to do. He can carry that load, and it was very good for them. And it's good to see going into the future what they're going to be. Now they're going to need BK to step up. They're going to need him to step up, be better, and hopefully figure out who in that young crew is going to step in. Can Asian be what Casey was to that Nebraska team? We're gonna see a lot and how they fill in the empty spots of losing a high energy guy like Gary and a prolific performer like Bryce.
But it's interesting too, just watching on the TV. I believe they've given the MVP of the tournament to Gary, which would be a little bit of a surprise to me to Bryce Williams. Would that be a surprise to you?
What was that?
I believe they've given the MVP of the tournament to Juwan Gary, which would be a little bit of a surprise over Bryce Williams. Is that a surprise to you?
No, he was consistent. Like, yes, Bryce had the big games and rightfully so, but it was consistent both on the defense, the offense, the rebounds, when they needed a bucket, when they needed some form of a stop. It was a collective thing, but I'm not disappointed at that. I'm okay with him being the MVP.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense, and at least to watch him in his career, along with Bryce's, come to a conclusion here. That's the only frustrating part as we're celebrating. It did kind of dawn on me as we're getting toward the end of that game is, man, we're gonna miss these guys in Husker uniforms, and man, and the other thing is just thank God they did this, right? I mean, obviously there was I wouldn't call it too much I don't know how to phrase it, especially, but people are still questioning the Crown tournament, right? It's new. It's not the NCAA tournament. There's NIL involved, so a lot of people are thinking, I don't know, should they have done this? There's different teams in there. Some of them don't have their full team. Some of them have losing records. Is that so it's kind of the whole nuance of it. This, in my mind, and I want to get your thoughts on this too. It does a little bit of both of the feelings, right? Where it makes me feel like Nebraska, obviously you end in with the grand championship. You feel pretty excited about that and what that means for the program under Fred Hoiberg moving forward. But the other thing is it really makes you wish they would have hit that one more bucket, one more, possession in those last 5 games. Because like you were saying earlier, this kind of verifies what we thought all along, is that this team, could have been the one to make that run in the NCAA tournament. Didn't quite get there. Obviously didn't even get to the Big Ten tournament. But that was just as interesting. Would have been interesting to see if they could have done something there. So which side do you kind of lean on more? Does this kind of finish their season on a good note, or make you want a little bit more for them to have made the NCAA tournament?
No, it lead well. So again, like I told you, I've been there, right? Where you heard Jimmy Jackson, and shout out to Jimmy. It was great to get to know him and play with him and remain friends over the years. But Jimmy said it. It takes the bad taste away from you of what that looked like. Look, I don't care what you say. There's nothing like winning. I don't care what tournament it is. I don't care what it is. Going out on a winning note, regardless of what it looks like, I still believe that there's positivity that comes from that, right? Yeah. It's a positive outlook. It's a story to tell. It's something to share in the recruiting battles that are about to ensue. There's conversations that you can have with them about how you can fit in where we're trying to go, how you're missing, and you can begin to tell the story of the successes as opposed to the failures of the ending season, the way that it ended. And I can tell you, there's a lot of people, even to this day, when they talk about that team, they really don't remember what happened and how bad it was with that 10-game losing streak that we had in that season. And they remember that we just were able to finish it off and turn it into a good and a positive that carried over to some of those teams that ended up going to the tournament again with Tehran and that crew. But it gave them a positive outlook on what to look forward to.
Well, that's good to hear, because you're going to wonder in the moment, what's the lasting impression this team is going to make. And you're right. When I think of the 1996 team, or I hear about it, that's what I hear about is the NIT champions. And an incredible run it was, shouldn't say partially, a lot of it due to you and your teammates, of course, but you won the MVP of that tournament. And so, that's something that Nebraska basketball certainly hangs their hat on. And now they have another tournament here to hang their hat on as the inaugural crown champions. I do got to ask you too, because obviously this was a team led by Bryce and Juwan. The question is going to be over the offseason is how much did this experience help the returning guys? I mean, we saw teams. It was just an interesting tournament altogether. I think you maybe played one full strength team there in the semis, but other than that, there's guys with injuries or guys off to the transfer portal. Heck, there was guys on the opposing team today that you were playing in UCF that were in the transfer portal and playing for UCF. So it's just an interesting tournament. But what do you kind of think Nebraska, as far as the returning pieces, can take from this experience?
Oh, that's what I was talking about. To be able to tell the story, it's the experience of playing in high level, high IQ, high intensity environment. The one that you missed in the Big Ten tournament, right? But it's still nonetheless a high intense environment. You've got to show up. You've got to still show up, play the game, and you've got to play it at a high level. You can tell it was intense by the physicality of the game, by every possession and how it mattered. All of those things are lessons that you can learn, and confidence builders for guys like Cale Jacobson. You see what I'm saying? It's one of those things. It's going to raise the profile for Juwan Gary. It's going to position Bryce to potentially be a late first rounder. You know what I'm saying? Those type of things. I don't care, because you performed in the moment. The big time moment. You performed and you shown yourself worthy of opportunity there. And it's just a matter of now of how you're going to perform in your combine or pro days or any of those other like Portsmouth or any of those other tournaments now that are post-career. And it's going to set you up for what's, the confidence of being able to play, because you're playing against competitors of all conferences all over the nation, and it's a good thing.
Yeah. You look at some of the guys that got. I mean, Cale Jacobson obviously is going to be very exciting to kind of see what role he can carve out. A floater there late, an open three late. I mean, he's obviously not going to force it, but he did, make some big plays in there. Obviously, all tournament long, 6 rebounds as well. And you look at just some of those other pieces, whether it's sending them out as champions, and on a good note for the seniors. We talk about Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary quite a bit. Andrew Morgan had some big impact dunks, 4 assists from the center position today.
Well, speaking on that part, right? That was what I saw was an improvement. The one thing that they did is you saw them go back to that same action. Throughout the season, you would see them vacate, and leave the action and go and do something different. They went back to it. You got to stop it. And you didn't see a lot of bad shots that I think that you saw throughout the season. Yes, there were shots that were taken where the shot clock's going down, you're driving, you're penetrating, you're drawing contact. They let them play through, with physicality throughout the game. They have a 7-2 center in there, so it changes, how you attack the rim as well. But ultimately, you saw them not settle. You saw them making really good plays late in the game. Juwan Gary gets the ball on the wing, had a couple good looks, could have taken them. You wouldn't have been mad about them taking them. But they settled. They got into a good action. Boom, drive, found a season, missed it, got the rebound, and then that takes more clock off the time off the clock. So it was some things like that I was very impressed with, and how they handled, because they were still aggressive, Bach. They were still aggressive. They, because what a tendency is we're going to play just not to lose. We're just going to try to run the clock out. You see what I'm saying? And we saw what happened with the Duke and Houston game, Bach. How, you still got to play. You got to stay aggressive. You still got to play. If opportunity presents, you got to take it. But they didn't falter. They stayed aggressive. They stayed active, and they were able to secure the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Big time win for Nebraska. And of course, we do have Austin Orman. He's been out in Vegas all week, so we do want to hear from him before we wrap up our post-game show. So we are going to go to break. I did have one more question for you that I thought was just kind of an interesting part of this game. Obviously, not so much on Nebraska's side, but Darius Johnson, 42 points in the semis. You talk about not making, taking bad shots. It wasn't even sometimes that the shots were bad on UCF side. They were just they weren't. I mean, they weren't bad selections at times. They were just way off. So I think part of this too, and maybe in college you got to get used to it. Was do you think that just having played so much and having had to expend the overtime and all that for Johnson, it clearly looked to kind of settle in. But even on that UCF team, you think they were just kind of getting tired from the format of the tournament?
Yeah, it's very possible, and he kind of that's the thing, and you feel bad for him. Struggled tonight, didn't really have it. Goes 1 for 11. What did he go for 30 or something last night? Or
42,
yeah, right. Had a big night the night before to get them into the final. They blow out the Villanova and really got after them, and then kind of tweak a hammy. And it's unfortunate, but shout out to Ivory Curry, who steps up, and filled the void for them, kept them in the game, got them going. And ultimately, it's just Nebraska was a little bit, they made very timely buckets. They got busy. And you're going to need guys to step up now, because you're going to lose Mia. The size there, Ryukten Jail is going to need to step up. He just has not played well at all. Early in the season, maybe, but they're going to need him to step up. And they're going to see how they're going to fill some of these vacated spots. But very much sure you can rest assured that the loss of Williams and Gary they're going to be missed, because they were high energy guys, very active. Shout out to Hoiberg as well, who handled the ball. I got to give him credit. See, a lot of people don't give him credit. I thought he learned a lot of lessons. He learned how attacking the rim, attacking the basket, getting deep penetration, and then getting stuck in there and turning the ball over, losing the ball. But he's been able to find himself, get into a good jump stop, or he's been able to do the Steve Nash and dribble, or the Chris Paul and dribble all the way through, find guys for some great looks. 7 assists on the night with 0 turnovers. Those are important numbers when you think about it, especially not having a true point guard to step in and still be a solid ball handler for a team that, really doesn't have a point guard. Ulis and Worcester. Ulis wasn't really effective tonight, but that's okay. You like what you saw, and you got some of that coming back.
Yeah, it was certainly interesting. You would think at the beginning of this tournament with Wooster out would have taken that spot because, like you said, they needed a ball handler. But being able to put Jacobson in there and not lose anything partially because of Hoiberg ball handling was incredible. All right, let's take a quick break. Thanks again to Lincoln DeWalt Wine and Spirits, Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical for sponsoring us. We're going to take a quick break again, reach out to Austin. I think DP's in the building. We'll see if he wants to jump in. We got more as Nebraska takes home the Crown Tournament Championship. We'll talk more about it coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM first, 93.7 The Ticket.
Get ready for spring by joining an evidence-based program to improve your health and well-being. These programs use proven strategies to help you make lasting changes, whether it's boosting nutrition, increasing activity, managing stress, or enhancing wellness. Invest in yourself today and feel your best this spring and beyond. Paid for by the Nebraska Department of Health and Human Services. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket. Every Saturday morning now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com.
It's the two-fingered wave on a gravel road. It's letting the kids take dad's truck to prom. It's Friday nights under the lights of a hometown football field. Eustace Body Shop knows small towns. It's where our values are rooted. We treat our people right, and in turn, they treat you, our customer, right. And we give back to our communities. Not much more small town than that. Eustace Body Shop, small town service, big city technology.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Why are some people more successful? Is it talent and determination, or did they recognize an opportunity? Discover a career that lets you help families reach their financial goals as you build lasting professional relationships. One with unlimited income potential. From Modern Woodman, a leading fraternal financial services provider.
I'm Modern Woodman Regional Director Sean Erickson. Call me at 402-483-6515 to learn about career opportunities.
Modern Woodman of America. Touching lives, securing futures.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contests, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back to the Tickets Basketball Postgame Show, featuring Derek Pearson and former Husker and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Hoops Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for the final time this year. We are sad about that, but we are here to celebrate instead because Nebraska does take home the crown, beating UCF 77-66. This was a game of runs for sure. Nebraska it was just kind of back and forth. It was tied at half at 35, but Nebraska had, I think, a 12-point lead at the beginning of in the first half. So it looked like maybe they would be able to cruise a little bit. UCF stormed back, especially Nebraska just couldn't get anything going out of the halftime break, I think, and they were down double digits. Then they stormed back to win by double digits. So kind of like the season, up and down day for Nebraska. But that's what can happen, of course, in the sport of basketball. Kind of a make or miss league, as Doc Rivers likes to say, a make or miss game, certainly. And Nebraska was starting to make their shots. They finished from the floor 29 of 61, 47.5%, 43% from beyond the arc at 9 of 21. Bryce hit 3 of them. I think most of those coming early. And then Connor Esesian, who had finished with 21 points, finished 4 of 8 beyond the arc as well. Nebraska could have done a little bit better from the free throw line, 10 of 17 for 60%. So they get away a little bit from with that not having hit. But here's a big discrepancy in today's game. And it started to when things kind of get tough, you're going to need more than one player. Jordan Ivy Curry certainly was leading that for UCF. But again, when things were getting tough, he was kind of, all right, ISO and see what you can do. Nebraska on the other end, 20 assists. UCF just 8 tonight. Was that a big part of the game in your mind, Strick?
Well, not only just the game, Bach, but the whole tournament. That's the way that you wanted them to play throughout the season. You're absolutely right. Couple times in the game last night, as well as tonight, they kind of got into this one-on-one mode, this back down the post mode, and they got away from the movement that makes them good. This is look, it's not unfortunate, but it is. It's a team that doesn't really have a guy that you can just say, give me the ball at this spot, and I'm either getting to the rim, getting a good shot with space, or I'm finding somebody. Right? They for the most part, they need help. A lot of people are going to be on the line talking about, oh, but what about Bryce and this and that? No, Bryce makes tough shots. That's what makes him good. He can get to a spot, raise. Sometimes he misses, but he's capable of making tough shots with hands in his face and so forth and so on. But they're tough because he still can't really create space. Right? That's the difference that they don't have. Now, whether they go out looking for that, I think it would help them because in games where teams are going to be able to figure you out, you saw the way that they played. Morgan was irrelevant. Backed off. It made it tough for them to get into some of their actions. They were going to double action, get the ball over, go right back to them. The handoff stuff with the curl action wasn't working. The late drops were working. You have to really hit them a couple times to make that effective. But that's what they don't have, Bach. They don't have a guy that you can just get that ball to and say, I'm going to get it. And hopefully that'll emerge somewhere. And I'm not saying you need that all the time, but there's times when that clock gets low or it's late in the first half or the second half where you know that if you get him the ball, that they're going to be able to get a good shot, a good play, or make a good pass.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, next year we've had some recruiting week, pretty big recruiting couple days for Nebraska too, as they picked up two commitments out of the portal, which is important, this time because talking to just some Husker fans, some people were concerned. Okay, if you're going to the tournament, maybe it's taken away from your action in the transfer portal. There's a lot of guys that moving around, and people are using this time. Those that aren't in the Crown tournament, obviously, only the Crown tournament and 2 teams left. In college basketball playing in the NCAA tournament, are using this time to recruit. Nebraska was able to seemingly get both things done, come home with the crown, and be able to add out of the transfer portal. So there's plenty of time to talk about next season. But of course, we're going to kind of continue to stay focused on the finish of this season and what it kind of means for Nebraska moving forward. You have mentioned Berke, and I would agree with you as well that the second half kind of post-injury, he had an injury there at some point in the season, came back, had this long streak of not being able to hit a shot. You could see it in his minutes, just wasn't used as much tonight. Was that a matchup thing in your mind, or is it more just kind of the struggles that he's kind of had down the stretch?
Which player?
For Berke Buchton, Joe.
Berke, for me, I think when I just look at this season for him, I think it was a multitude of things. One, you're looking at a culture difference, right? You're from Turkey, you're in LA, and then you come to Nebraska. That's one. It's just a cultural shifts that a lot of people don't understand, Bach, that I believe those things can affect the player, believe it or not. I've talked about it on the shows on the block about how it can affect football players. What's the young football player that was the quarterback up in New York that struggled? I want to say he might have been for the Jets, he came from BYU.
Okay, yeah, Zach Wilson. I was gonna say
Zach Wilson,
the last 15 Jets quarterback, but yeah,
Zach Wilson. Listen, you don't know the mental pressure that gets placed on you coming from a Utah to a New York, and then the media that's literally beating on you on a regular basis, and you just want to live. It's a culture shock. It can affect you, right? I think location means something. Now, you got that. I think for BK also, there was schism. He tried to get in, fit in, become something that they know they needed, didn't really measure up. And so a lot of people came down on him a little bit internally, I believe. They're not going to say that. I believe this just because I've been a part of teams with schism, both professionally and at University of Nebraska. So you could tell there was some friction there. I think a lot of it had to do with his NIL, deal. And he wasn't playing up to the NIL deal. And then you had two that basically were doing that and weren't even in the realm of what he was at. And I think there was probably some friction there, which caused this roller coaster ride of losing 6, winning 5, losing 6, right? And then you get to the end, and Berke just has to throw this one in the trash this season. Like, in his mind, Bach, he needs to just throw it in the trash. He's got to be able to now go into the lab, watch all the film. And like one of the things I used to do, I'm hoping he can do too, is be able to go and look at your worst. A lot of people want to go back and look at their best. They want to go and look at the highlights of what they did good. Not in this instance. Go look at your worst, because you want to go in the lab figuring out where your inefficiencies are. What are you doing on your jump shot? Why are you, do I need more shot fakes in my game? What side of the court do I work better off of based on what I'm seeing? Oh, I don't do well on this side. Okay, I need to work on. So you're able to go into the lab and figure out how you can be prepared for next year and come back with a total mindset change from what you saw this year, because they're going to need you.
Yeah, there's obviously a world of potential within his frame, and as a young basketball player, we'll see if he can live up to that. So I'm excited to see. And it is interesting to note too, Nebraska, I know it's been said all along, is that they haven't had anybody enter the transfer portal. I wouldn't expect that at this point, because you kind of missed the boat on it a little bit as far as suitors and all that in the top NIL payers. So I think one impressive thing is Nebraska's been able to keep, the core of the roster together, which is obviously something you worry about these days, but specifically in a guy like Berke, right? Where you think, well, maybe things didn't go exactly how he thought, but obviously at some point you just can't transfer everywhere. You can in today's NIL world. You might be, paid for doing so. But it is good to see him stick through it. And of course, everybody was kind of celebrating together there as Nebraska won the crown and was celebrating. Kind of the next question I have for you is, what does this mean for Fred Hoiberg in the state of Nebraska basketball? You kind of think about the Big Ten. Haven't won a national championship since the year 2000. Obviously, always competing up there as one of the best conferences in the nation. Does Nebraska winning do something for the Big Ten? And what does it do for Fred Hoiberg? Because Fred Hoiberg obviously recently came up in conversations. I don't know if they were serious conversations, but at least as an idea for Trev Alberts and Texas A&M down there. No, they went elsewhere. But when I heard that, I kind of thought, is he desirable enough to kind of get a Texas A&M type of job? Does this help Fred Hoiberg? Obviously, we don't want him to leave, but you do want your coach to be desirable. And after this season, what are your kind of thoughts on what Fred Hoiberg did this season after winning the crown here?
There's multiple things. You talked about people not getting in the transfer portal. One of the things I've said, you've already lost one coach in Adam, so the replacement of that coach is going to be something that they're going to need to look at. But when I look at Fred and the team, one of the things I was hoping that they did, and that was have those conversations. Like, one of the things you have to do different than you used to have to do, Bach, is you have to recruit your players even while you're still in season. Like, you still have to be in the recruiting mode towards them. There have to be continual touch points and conversations that you're having with them throughout the season. You want to know really where their head's at. But most importantly, you want to be having conversations so that they know who they are, what their role is, and how you can show and share the vision with them of what's next or what's coming or how you fit in going forward. That's how you're able to maintain and keep people there. Winning this tournament is going to, obviously put more money in the coffers. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if they're going to distribute the whole amount amongst the guys there. They're going to put a certain amount aside and have something in the coffers to add on to what they already have and then distribute another part. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it gives you options landing $300K in this tournament. And I think that's only going to increase. I think they're going to continue to probably increase that number as they get more and more love from it, because the NCAA tournament showed me a little something. I still want more data. I want to see more, but it looks as if NIL is starting to, pay dividends, and you're seeing what hadn't happened since 08 happened, which you had all four top teams landed in the Final Four. And it's very possible that you may see more of that. It's very possible you may not see much of the Cinderella March Madness stuff. We saw the March Madness in the game with the Duke game. We saw some of that happen. There hadn't been much March Madnessing going on in this tournament this year as you've usually had. But there's some things to keep an eye on. And so I think the crown may expand a little bit, not necessarily with teams, but you may see teams take an interest of wanting to be a part of it and what you can get out of it.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting because, again, I think that the nuance of it, having it kind of be new, and everybody was kind of wondering, a lot of people still kind of going about their business as they would normally. And so we saw a lot of teams just decline, not even come in at the tournament, especially if they, had a coaching change or just wanted to deal with the transfer portal. There's other schools that Villanova had a coaching change and they decided to join the tournament. So it's kind of just interesting to see the route that everybody took, and everybody's got a different situation. And so that's what I kind of wonder, if you step back and look at it, was the crown tournament taking Nebraska out of it successful this season? Because it was kind of interesting. I know it was a great commercial for Bryce Williams. Gus Johnson sounds like he's ready to draft Bryce if he becomes a GM over the offseason. But you just kind of wonder, the crowd for the crown might have also, it might be more of a success this year because Nebraska's in it than if they won't be, because we know Nebraska fans travel, and they were repeating. There were a lot of Nebraska fans out there, and you could see it in the TV product. So I can't wait to see what the crown is. It's just kind of weird, though, because you don't want to defend your championship, right?
No, you want to step up, right?
Yeah.
Buck, I had people texting me people that I reffed with in Dallas and in Texas and some in Cali, they said, "Hey man, I'm in Vegas, man. I see a bunch of Cornhuskers out here. What's going on?" Like some didn't really fully know, and I was like, they were seeing a bunch of Sea Red. I said, "Hey, that's the one thing about us Huskers is we travel well." I can tell you that when we were in our NIT, look, there were a good crowd out there. But when I tell you, when we were in the Garden for that NIT run that we made, dang near half the Garden was full of red. And it was the wildest thing to see, Bach, where St. Joseph, who's right outside of Philly, right down the road, we had more Husker fans in there. And it's really one of those things that I learned that Husker fans not only travel, but they're everywhere. I saw banners in the Madison Square Garden that said New Yorkers for Nebraska. I've seen Arizonans for Nebraska and Californians for. I mean, I'm telling you, I was seeing banners of like people representing where they came from, and that's just how Nebraska is. This is why, man, I really want them to consider putting out a product and doing so also if you've got to monetarily. You've got to put this program because the people are not only hungry, but they're deserving of it. The Nebraska fans are deserving, more so than not just being hungry. They're deserving because they come, they show up, they continuously support, and it's time to put the product out there. And hopefully football can turn around and do so. Now we turn it over to the spring sports and volleyball. I mean, not volleyball, but softball and baseball. Baseball struggled, is struggling. Softball shaky, but they're in there still. But we hoping to just not have an ultimate dead period where some of the spring sports, etc. Shout out to the wrestlers. I attribute that just to what DP and 93.7 the ticket is done by giving the wrestling they're not players the wrestlers a platform because it opens them up. It allows them to engage with the fans. Now you saw fans following them throughout the national. I watched on the national tournament just some of the things that they were able to do and the confidence it gave them not only to speak internally but also to get out there on the mat and show and prove it out there when it mattered. Coming in second man in the nation, that's a huge feat with some of the perennial wrestling powerhouses that are out there. That's why I'm really hoping that Nebraska puts the money forward to make sure that they get back to where they belong.
Yeah, it's exciting to see the University of Nebraska in some of their sports rising. I think you put this in that case. I do got to ask you because I'm sure it's been asked all week. And thanks to Crypto King, by the way, for the $2 super chat. We definitely appreciate that. Says Juwan Gary, MVP of the crown. He's the king. And he absolutely is. We got plenty of time to reflect on Gary and Williams and kind of their legacy here. Once again, Bryce, for what it's worth, now the single season all-time scoring leader at Nebraska, surpassed James Palmer Jr. But the question I'm sure you were asked all week, and now it is here. Should Nebraska put up a banner for this tournament?
Yeah. I think so. I think it's worthy of doing so. You're the inaugural champion of a national championship of any kind, the second of all time. I got to be honest. I was privileged to be able to have a Big 8 championship, which is one of the only ones that we've ever had, as well as far as the conference is concerned. And we're hoping that Nebraska is able to put themselves. The thing that you talked about with Fred, I really do believe that they need to get back to that top tier of the Big Ten. I think that should be the focus. I'm not saying go out and win it. I don't know if they're there yet, but I think they're very capable of getting back towards that top 10, that top area from 6 and up. I think that's what should be the goal going forward, is to at least be in the 6 and up. They finished third 2 years ago. I think they should be looking to get back up to that tier.
And of course, in the college football, college landscape of sports altogether, ever changing. We'll see tomorrow if that NCAA versus House settlement is signed. So that will definitely be interesting. Maybe, and that's always kind of what you kind of think about is, okay, where are they finishing in the standings and where are they finishing in the NIL category? Because that should at least be, kind of the goal to have moving forward. But for what it's worth, too, I definitely agree with you with hanging a banner. I know some schools, I mean, I don't think you would at Kentucky or North Carolina, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of funny because we look at schools and you go to Minnesota. I went to Minnesota football. They've still got their national champions from the 30s and their conference championships from 1911 or whatever it might be. And so people sometimes will tell me, well, Nebraska doesn't have enough basketball history. Well, you do. It might look a little bit outdated, but I would. They kind of put all their winnings into one, 3 or 4 banners, and I would just spread that out. Even if it doesn't change what the program is, but it celebrates a little bit more. And specifically this one where it's current, right? It's you invite a player into Pinnacle Bank Arena. I'd also put the $300,000 down.
Right up under it.
It's a pretty darn good recruiting tool to say, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
You might not be the most historic program in the country, but you win some money if you get here.
Yeah, Bach. I'm not mad at it, man. The crazy thing about it, it's in Vegas, and there's just some things that I recall about Vegas, man. You go in and you're walking in on the floor of the casino, and next thing you're hearing is ding, 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 ding. That's what Nebraska just did. They hit the jackpot, man. They went out there and landed a lick, and shout out to them. Congratulations to the Huskers, man, for getting the job done. Really excited about them and what they were able to do. There were some disappointments, but to finish it off the way that they did, Bob, hand clap to them.
Absolutely. It definitely, like you said, kind of changes the way that we look at this season, the narrative of this season as Nebraska caps it off. We got plenty more to talk about. Once again, Austin Orman has been live from Vegas all week long, so we appreciate him staying out there. Hopefully he comes back. He still's got his life savings and all that, but we won't chat with him about that, but we will try to reach out to him, kind of get his thoughts on this game and what he heard post-game. We'll do that next year on the Who's Post-Game Show on 93.7 The Ticket.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more. Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com. At Farm Bureau Financial Services, we strive to provide you with the right coverages for all your insurance needs by taking the time to meet with you and review what coverages best fit your needs. So whether you're in the market for home, auto, farm, business, life, or a combination of any of these coverages, we can help with making sure you, your family, or your business have the right coverage based on your individual needs. If you would like to review your insurance needs, please contact Ben Spurt with Farm Bureau Financial Services at 402-217-9945 or through email at ben.spurt@fbfs.com. Muchachos has been serving Lincoln delicious pork, brisket, and chicken tacos for several years now, as well as Hatch Mac nachos and more. Muchachos also brings you close to the taste buds of your favorite local college athletes with NIL deals like the B3 burrito for Bella Bacon of Nebraska softball and many more. See a variety of different NIL options at Muchachos at 11th and K or order online at yomuchacho.com. Open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Tuesday through Saturday.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Ticket listeners know a dream team when they see one. At Applied Connective, we've been in the game for 20 years and have developed a team of world-class leaders in all things IT. From cybersecurity and Microsoft products to physical security, audio-video, infrastructure, business phone systems, and anything in between, we'll help you leverage technology to become your most secure, efficient, and profitable. Head to our website to check out real reviews and testimonials and sign up for a free tech consultation. We can show you where you might be vulnerable, inefficient, or overspending. It's a game changer, and it's totally free. Claim yours right now at appliedconnective.com.
Hi, I'm Jake from Lexington.
I'm Ellen from Ogallala.
My name's Ray from Sydney.
Hello, I'm Jenny from McCook.
Ryan from Lincoln here.
And I'm Steve from Omaha.
And we've all got one thing in common.
We all love trucks.
Which means we all want to win one of the 8th grade 2025 Ford F-150 XLT trucks in Trucks and Bucks from the Nebraska Lottery.
So I guess that means we have two things in common.
Well, I love playing Trucks and Bucks.
3 things in common.
And we're all from Nebraska.
Sounds like 4.
And I think the gray color of the trucks this year is beautiful.
5 things.
Guys, I just want to go to a Nebraska Lottery retailer, buy some tickets, and start playing today.
There's 6.
I like turnips.
I guess we stop at 6.
Trucks and Bucks, your Nebraska Lottery's most popular scratch ticket is back. Top prize odds are winning $336,000. Ford F-150 is a registered trademark owned and licensed by Ford Motor Company.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, 2-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part, we offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at windowworldlincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
When your home fills up with family, Allo Fiber makes sure that space is a happy place for everyone. Allo Fiber experts install it all, and full service means step-by-step support, guiding you through everything so you can stay connected to what matters, and the family can always feel at home. Put the game on, and don't worry about your Wi-Fi calling a timeout. Better TV and internet service is one connection away. Call Allo at 866-481-2556 or visit allofiber.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize to participate in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the KNTK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Husker Hoops just wrapped up as Williams turns the corner. 2 more into the line. A chance for 3, Bryce Williams. Hustle down to the block, post up, and go to work now on 93.7 The Ticket. And the offensive rebound, Berke Butunjel. The Postgame Post-Up is sponsored by Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical, and Lincoln Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits.
There's a Siege, same spot. Sabres he is red hot. A Siege in ahead half court. Eulis good if it goes, and it counts. Aaron Eulis with a half court 3
on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Yes, that's right. We're back here on the Hoops Post Game Show on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Balkovin, usually Austin Orman with you. We'll see if we can hear anything from him before we wrap up. We're going to go up until 8 o'clock. That's when Ricky C. Simmons will take over. Still got a whole weeknight of shows with you. If you're looking for 6 p.m. with Chris Kolarovich, by the way, he will also be in this evening following Ricky's show. So plenty more to have fun and break down here on 93.7 The Ticket on a Sunday night. But like I said, Austin out there in Vegas, I don't know if they give him a share of the pot. He might be off in the casinos. But no, he's more than likely trying to run down and kind of cover this winning, see what it's all about. So hopefully we hear from him. But one way or the other, Nebraska does win this thing. If you're just joining us, they beat UCF 77-66 to finish 21-14 on the year and win the college basketball crown championship game. And of course, $300,000 will be in their pockets. So that's going to help as well. Not to make this too much about football, but we do have a text from Corey. Says, just saw on X, the Scott Frost curse is over. So there's one way to look at it. Of course, Dylan Raiola in the building. The amount of Nebraska support is always impressive, as we've mentioned out there as well. So looks like Austin's just getting done with the presser, so we should hear from him pretty soon. Let's check as I check my text here. Yeah, he's going to phone in pretty soon, so we'll hear from him live in Vegas. Real quick, Eric Strickland, of course, the Husker Hall of Famer, with us as well. Strickland, how do you feel as I'm going to go answer this call from Austin? How does this kind of cement the legacy of a Juwan Gary and a Bryce Williams, who, of course, helped take Nebraska NCAA tournament last year and now this year taking home the crown?
I think it does. I think it listen, it spins a better light on the program, on them, and the time that they spent at Nebraska. It puts a better light on them for their for their career and as a Husker. So I like that for them because they're deserving. They laid it on the line. They came back. They returned. They didn't make excuses. They just went out and gave their best. They gave their best effort. And I saw growth in both of them. And that's what you can ask. If you're a person that's sitting on the sideline watching, or you're somebody that's scouting them, or you're somebody that just watched them in the time that they spent in a Husker uniform, you can see that there was growth. And that's what you want. You want them, one, to become better men. You want them to leave with a knowing, as Fred has spoken before, about the experience. You wanted to have a good experience of what you've had at your time at Nebraska. And all of that's going to be set in place by what they did in this tournament.
Absolutely. And I would like to appreciate your time, Strick, as I know you've got to run as well. It's great hearing from you, not just tonight, but all season long.
Yeah, man. We'll see. Hopefully have more in store for next year as well, man.
That's absolutely true. So that'll be fun. And there goes Stricky. Let's welcome in Austin Owerman here, live from Las Vegas. Of course, he's been out there all week long. Nebraska, again, finishing with a 77-66, I should say all week. I don't know if I said weekend. I'm selling them short there. 77-66 win in the college basketball crown championship tournament there. Austin, did you get your piece of the $300,000? Were they handing it out at the end of the game?
No, sadly they were not. And Fred Hoiberg even commented the coaches don't even get a cut. So it literally all goes to the players. It certainly deserved. I think Nebraska, played some of its better basketball. Definitely not perfect, but for a good chunk of the tournament, this was as good as I think we've seen Nebraska play basketball since early February.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to kind of, and again, it kind of puts you in two different spots of, of course, you'd rather have them played in the NCAA tournament if they were playing this well. But obviously to win here caps it off pretty well. Being live there, I got to ask too, because it felt like in the TV, the crowd was, the commentators were talking about maybe 70-80% Husker fans in the building. Did that feel like the case today?
Oh, definitely. I mean, credit to UCF fans. I couldn't tell where most of them were sitting. They were wearing black, and the seat backs were black as well. So they kind of blended in, and they were kind of intermingled between the Husker fans as well. But without a doubt, Nebraska fans, Husker Nation, showed up leaps and bounds beyond any other fan base I saw, whether it's in the opening round game, quarter, semis, you name it. There were more Nebraska fans there than multiple fan bases combined, and they certainly made an impact, right? Especially today, Nebraska goes down by double digits with one of their worst stretches of basketball. And we've seen some mediocre basketball from this team, but it was really bad there for about 10 minutes for Nebraska. Juwan Gary goes down with the injury. He comes back, makes a couple energy plays. Nebraska fans get re-engaged, and they made a tangible impact on that next, 90 seconds to 2 minutes where Nebraska made the run to ultimately take the lead for good.
And I want to hear from you kind of what you heard post-game, but I did want to ask you, too. I was kind of surprised as I was starting up the post-game show, looking on the screen that Juwan Gary looked like he got the MVP of the tournament. Is that correct? And that surprised you as well?
Yeah, Juwan was named MVP, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Bryce Williams was his normal self, and it wouldn't have been a wrong choice to give it to him. But I think with the way that Juwan Gary played in the semifinals, he had a double-double, his second of the year, 17 points and 10 rebounds. He was phenomenal there, did some good defensive work. And then today it was Juwan Gary, his return, making some really key plays for Nebraska to get them out of that super, super frozen cold spell. Bryce Williams would have been a fine choice, but I do think on aggregate, Juwan Gary was probably the right choice. He made some real tangible impact for Nebraska in the two games that mattered the most. So Bryce Williams gets the Diamond Head Classic MVP and trophy. Juwan Gary gets the inaugural college basketball crown MVP award, and I think both made sense.
Yeah, it does make sense there, and it's good to see those two each be able to go out as champions. What was the celebration on the court like? What was the kind of the feeling? Obviously, you would think pretty jovial in the post game.
It absolutely was. Never been on the court for a celebration like that before, so just trying to figure out how Nebraska would handle that. Right now that this group isn't a bunch of winners, but not every team ends their season with a win, right? Think about last year. You would argue Nebraska had a more successful season because it made it to the NCAA tournament, to the actual true March Madness. But Nebraska didn't get it cut down a net, right? They didn't get to celebrate that. They didn't get to celebrate winning the Big Ten tournament. They had a lead in the semis before Illinois came charging back. So despite last year's team grading out better by the metrics, having more wins and whatnot, it's this year's team that actually got to take part in a celebration. I do think that there was a bit of a sense of relief, like, oh my gosh, it felt like there was a little bit of a monkey off this program's back. Certainly excitement, certainly, pride, and not in an overconfident way. We just, hey, we decided we were going to play in this tournament. We went out there and did it. Certainly excitement, certainly celebration. And I think a bunch of guys soaking in the last moment they had as this, 24-25 Nebraska team. I thought the celebration was handled really well. I thought Nebraska certainly enjoyed every second of it.
Austin, you still got some time to spend with us here. We got to go to break, but we'd love to hear from you on the other side if you got time.
Oh, it's like I got nowhere else to be, Bach. Come on, my flight out of here is not till midnight. You're not getting rid of me that easy.
All right, very good. I thanks for staying out there and covering all week long because obviously as they kept winning, your flights kept getting delayed. So here we are, and it's good that we'll have you here on the other side. We can still hear from Austin on the other side, live from Las Vegas, as Nebraska wins the Crown Tournament over UCF once again, 77-66 to cap off the season and finish at 21-14. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to wrap it up here on the Who's Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket.
LES wants your feedback. Help shape your electric utilities direction and priorities by taking an anonymous online survey. Make your voice heard before the survey closes on April 30th at les.com/survey.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Mike, the insurance company wants us to replace the roof.
Wait, what? I thought everything was fine.
Yeah, it says right here our roof is too old and they won't be able to cover us anymore.
I guess it is 15 years old. Hi, I'm Austin with Roofing Service Company. We help homeowners with their roofing and siding projects. Financing options are available, and we can get you under a new roof no time at all. If this sounds like you, visit roofingservicecompany.com. That is roofingservicecompany.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
Tailored Landscapes is actively preparing for spring. Things like new tree orders, getting equipment ready, and training staff to serve you the best they can. If you haven't already planned, now is the perfect time to figure out a maintenance plan for your yard. Tailored Landscapes is on the brink of spring cleanups for all their existing customers, and they have limited spots available. They trim trees and shrubs when needed and only mulch proper amounts. Give Tailored Landscapes a call at 402-432-2572 to set up a meeting with one of their designers and stop by the Tailored Life store in Bennett.
Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call today at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. Now's the perfect time to get even stronger at Planet Fitness. Save $28 or more when you join today for just $1 down, $15 a month. Mix up your routine or create a customized workout plan with free fitness training. That's right. Certified trainers, unlimited sessions with best-in-class equipment. Plus, there's over 2,700 convenient locations to choose from, with most open 24 hours. Save $28 or more today when you join Planet Fitness for just $1 down, $15 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends April 11th. See Home Club for details.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
We are Troop 64 and you're...
We are back here on the Hoops Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket, and we are celebrating a Nebraska victory as they beat UCF 77-66 to win the college basketball crown tournament out there in Las Vegas. We have Austin Orman on the line as well, as he is celebrating as well, but also doing a good job in reporting. We don't want to question that at all. Austin, of course, we welcome you back on here, and we got one final segment for the year, so we're kind of capping off the year. In your mind, does this victory, as I kind of opened up the string and was asking him, does it make you kind of forget maybe a little bit about the up and down season that Nebraska had now that it ends on a good note, or does it make you a lot more for having to be able to see this team in the NCAA tournament?
Well, I think there can be a happy medium, right? Fred Hoiberg said post-game that he built this team with the NCAA tournament in mind. He said he felt like this team could win a game in the NCAA tournament. And we saw at its best, absolutely, that was the case for Nebraska. We saw at its worst, Nebraska probably didn't even deserve to make a flight out to Las Vegas. At the end of the year, you are what your record says you are. You are, the sum of your wins and your losses. And I think this ended up being the right level for Nebraska, right? I mean, yeah, they had some really good wins, 4 wins over ranked opponents, tied the most, I believe, in a single season in program history. That's impressive. But then at the end of the year, Nebraska didn't back those wins up by taking care of business at home or against teams below it in the Big Ten standing. So you put that all together, I think it makes sense. I don't know if I fully believed that this was a team that was going to be the first one to get Nebraska off that NCAA tournament, losing streak. So I would maybe quibble with Fred Hoiberg's interpretation of things. But at the end of the day, no, it doesn't erase the fact that Nebraska had every chance to be an NCAA tournament team and give itself a bite at that apple. But if Nebraska is not going to be an NCAA tournament team, the fact that it came out here as motivated as it did, that it got its best players to step up in big moments and found a way to win a tournament that they had every right to fold, right? I mean, especially when Nebraska went down 14 points, right? How many teams would have said, nope, well, we said we wanted to come out here, but, well, there's 14 minutes left in our year. Well, what does it really mean anyway? We didn't accomplish everything we wanted to, so we're just going to pack it in. Nebraska didn't do that. So you can't say the season is just a disappointment because Nebraska didn't make the NCAA tournament. You can't say the season is a resounding success just because Nebraska got to 20 wins and won a postseason tournament. The truth, as pretty much always, lies somewhere in the middle. Overly successful season for Nebraska? No. At the end of the day, though, I would say this was a successful enough season for the program.
Yeah, it certainly feels that way. Of course, having capped it off in this tournament, we've got, the other big question a lot of people are going to have and wonder about as we do kind of our, hindsight's 2020, but we're doing our math backwards and looking back at what could have been is Cale Jacobson. Now, he didn't come in and average 20 throughout this tournament or anything like that, but he came in and played his role. He averaged well over, 20, maybe 24, 25 minutes a game here, and even 25 minutes against UCF here today. Do you think they could have been better off playing him all along? Again, a lot of it was kind of the concern about would you have a point guard. They were somewhat forced into this move because Raleigh Wooster couldn't compete here. Aaron Eulis, they decided to go instead of a true point guard, like kind of Sam handle a lot of that, Bryce handle some of that, and Cale handle some of that, to be quite honest. What do you think about Cale Jacobson's play here in this tournament, and does he have a spot in the rotation next season?
Cale certainly played his way into consideration. It's not like Cale's ever been out of consideration, right? But I think part of the issue for Cale Jacobson is that he's too good a teammate and that he's too versatile. And it's not his fault, right? That's exactly what you want out of a player like him. But he's always the next man up at a position. He doesn't have one defining trait, not one defining skill that you say, yep, he is our best option here when we're looking to go to lineup X or lineup Y. Cale's going to find a way to be successful, make the right basketball play in pretty much every basketball, connotation you put him in. I mean, he was the one that was probably the best defender on Tyson Degenhardt at times in the semifinals for Nebraska yesterday. Whereas against Georgetown, he came in, he was handling the ball under pressure, did a pretty solid job of that, right? Against Arizona State, came in and made the right play. Cale didn't play the same role in any game here in Vegas. And I think every team needs a guy or two like that. I mean, that's a quintessential Big Ten basketball player that is homegrown, is just a, lunch pail guy, first in, last to leave, and just makes the right play, a heady basketball player. You need guys with that level of basketball IQ, but I don't think Nebraska can just build the whole team out of Cale Jacobson and expect to succeed, right? What makes Cale Jacobson successful is the other guys around him, and what makes the other guys around him successful is Cale Jacobson. You can't get away with zero Cale Jacobson. You can't get away with five of them, but Nebraska has one. I would throw that Sam Hoiberg kid into the mix there as well, our very own Sam Hoiberg and what he does. I think really for me, Bach, the Cale Jacobson question is, could he have helped Nebraska? It kind of feels like low-hanging fruit to say that was the button to press for Nebraska, just because I don't think anyone expected this out of him. I think right now the mindset I'm going to take with Cale Jacobson into the offseason is huge kudos, huge tip of the cap to that young man for making the most of his opportunity. He gave himself a real chance to be a rotation player for Nebraska next year. Let's not let the hype get out of hand. Let's not go overboard with it. Cale still got a lot to prove, but the fact that he showed you the flashes that he did this week in Vegas, incredibly, incredibly encouraging.
And as we go through the roster, guys kind of returning, of course, this is a crowning moment for Bryce Williams and Juwan Gary as they end their career and their legacy, is expanded from here. But also the other guys that are coming back is a busy transfer portal weekend for Nebraska. Grabbed a few guys out of the portal, so we're starting to see what that can kind of look like. It feels like, and it only feels this way because they got to this tournament, that Connor Essegian's stock is kind of going up, and Berke kind of got stuck post-injury in trying to find a role. His minutes were limited today, and really throughout the tournament, it just didn't. Well, throughout the second, returning from injury, hasn't felt like the same player, if you'll put it that way. So I kind of want to ask you about those guys, how that kind of played out, and because it was, kind of focusing on Berke to a degree there in that middle part of the question. But Connor was huge today, and I think the question still relies on him. Is now he made 8 shots, 4 of them were for beyond the arc, and finished with 21 points. Can he become more of that overall player that's not so dependent on the 3-point arc?
Yeah, it's a huge offseason for both of those guys. I'll start with Connor since that's where you left off. This, I think, was the perfect type of setting for Connor Essegian, where these teams aren't as familiar with him, right? He's the X factor in Big Ten play, but Connor Essegian was honestly really good, pretty darn consistent for Nebraska throughout all its non-conference games. So I'm not worried about Connor Essegian to start next year, but the test for him is what can he add to his bag? What can Nebraska add to his skill set and also the types of plays that he runs and they run for him? And can he get more consistent within that? Because that's when Nebraska struggled in Big Ten play. It's when other teams could scout Connor Essegian. They knew they could be physical with him. They knew what Nebraska wanted to do to take him away. I'm not sold on Connor Essegian as Nebraska's leading scorer throughout the course of 31 games next year at this moment. Not to say he can't grow into it. I think he'll have an important role on the team. But if he's Nebraska's leading scorer next year, that either means something went incredibly right or incredibly wrong. And Berke Boyutengel, then, what a puzzling first year in the Heartland for him. I mean, really inconsistent to start the year. You started to see some of the, analytical impact if you look behind the scenes at some of the numbers. The shot never really came around. Some just mind-numbingly inexcusable plays on both offense and defense. When he's engaged, the effort, the energy are there. Berke Boyutengel absolutely needs to get more consistent on both ends of the court, needs to find a way to make sure that he's always locked in when he's between the lines. But it was just so striking to see how well Berke played in helping Nebraska close out that game at home against Ohio State, and then the depth to which he plummeted after the ankle injury. He looked like a completely different player, and I think you saw that the ceiling for Berke, at least a flash of it against Ohio State, but I didn't realize just how bad it could get for Berke Boyutengel. He was probably Nebraska's worst player all week long. I mean, nothing good happened when he touched the ball or was involved in some actions on defense. It was honestly baffling just how bad Berke was at the end of the year. And that's a young man who, has only played 2 years of college basketball, but feels like he's already at a crossroads with the second program.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just 4 minutes, I think, logged today. So kind of interesting to see a guy that I think still has a lot of potential. We want to wait and see what kind of plays out there, but certainly not the end of the season that he wanted. A few more questions as we wrap up the postgame show. I wanted to ask you, did it feel like UCF, obviously this is a game of runs, so there's certain times that they looked pretty good, but obviously, Darius Johnson never was able to get it going after 42 points yesterday. And some of their shots were not like bad shots as like selection, just awful shots. Do you think that they seem to kind of get tired toward the end of the tournament and in this game?
I mean, I'm sure both teams did. That's games on back-to-back days after 4 and 7, after, 30 whatever games. I'm going to credit Sam Hoiberg mostly for Darius Johnson's performance. And I also want to go on record and make this comment. Juwan Gary did the best job of anyone on Jordan Ivy Curry, who was also fantastic yesterday. He had some circus stuff. The kid has a deep bag. It was incredible. All year I've said I don't like Juwan guarding ball handlers. I don't like Juwan on these smaller guards. Now that Juwan shut him down, but this was one of the best performances on a small kind of jitterbug, lightning quick guard that I think we've seen out of Juwan Gary his entire time at Nebraska. That's when I'm like, if Nebraska would have had this Juwan Gary for the 30 games of the regular season defending at that level, we're probably talking about a different story right now. But credit to him for locking in, especially in the last, 15 minutes of his college career there on Jordan Ivy Curry. And good team defense by Nebraska of not really letting Darius Johnson get a cheap one to get going after his 42-point explosion yesterday.
All right, final question. It's the one that has been coming. I'm sure it's been asked you all week as you return from Vegas. Does Nebraska hang a banner for the College Basketball Crown Championship?
You know what? Screw it. Why not? Put the banner up. It'd be fun. we have seen college basketball history. Fans, your Nebraska Cornhuskers are the first program in college basketball history to win both an NIT and a college basketball crown. So you know what? I am all for it. Let's raise a banner. I think fans are on board with that because they love this team, a lot of the personalities on it. So you know what? Screw it. Let's have a banner ceremony to start 25-26.
I love it. I love the idea there. We tell you safe travels is true, and thanks for being out there all week in Vegas covering this tournament for Nebraska. And thanks for being, on the postgame show all year long. I know what a grind that can be.
It's a team effort. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be out here. Thanks to you and the crew for holding things down back home while I've been out here. I got a midnight flight out of Vegas tonight. I should be back in the office at some point tomorrow. It's been a grind. It's going to be a grind. But you know what? We're all in this thing together. I want to thank our sponsors for their sponsorship of post-game coverage. Doc, thank you for holding down the fort. Eastrick, DC, Jackson, Harrison have all jumped on it sometimes. It's been a blast. It's been a fun ride. Looking forward to it. Can't wait for more college basketball next season.
Absolutely. There he goes. Austin Orman from Vegas. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely, Bob.
All right, there he goes. There's Austin. And once again, that'll wrap up our post-game season. We're all done. The Husker basketball team's done. We can't cover anything else. They went right down to the final days of college basketball. And once again, come home as champions from Las Vegas. College basketball crowned champions. And I didn't get a chance to take a shot at Duke while Austin was on, but I suppose I can wait till tomorrow because they won't have the opportunity to be champions as we wrap up the season. But like Austin said, thanks to Wall to Wall Wine and Spirit, Action Plumbing, Heating and AC, and Electrical for sponsoring the show all year long. That'll wrap it up for this show. But don't go anywhere. Ricky C. Simmons coming up next with the Get Your Happy On Hour.